He turned the car key to shut himself off from the world and discovered he wasn't alone. In the passenger seat, a man dressed in white simply said, "Not today." The rest, Ethan would only understand when he saw his own life projected before him and the lives he would destroy in seconds if he went through with it. If real stories of transformation and redemption speak to you, subscribe to the channel now. Here, every week, a story to reignite your faith and remind you that you're not alone. Ethan's apartment looked like the aftermath of a fire once the smoke cleared. The mess didn't make noise, but it screamed. Empty bottles, unread messages, photos turned upside down. Through the window, the city was far too alive for a heart that only knew how to fade. He had a revolver in the car's safe, a bottle of whiskey in the passenger seat, and the cowardly certainty that pain, if it doesn't stop, can at least be silenced. His head throbbed with flashes of betrayals, mostly his own, and the accusing ones of others. The word father became shame, the word husband a distant past, the word man an echo without a body. "I ruined everything," he whispered, as if apologizing to his own shadow. And so he decided to drive aimlessly, because those who don't want to arrive anywhere step on the gas without calculating the curve. He left. If you could say 2 words to Ethan that night, what would they be? Write them in the comments. He could be any of us. The avenue gleamed like a freshly washed knife. Everything reflected light, headlights, shop windows, the eyes of people in a hurry. Ethan just switched lanes to avoid brushing against himself. He took 2 swigs, gripped the steering wheel tightly, and searched for a high place, a place for falls. The city offered plenty. He stopped at a hill that seemed tailor-made for late regrets. The wind tugged at his shirt like an insistent hand. Stay or go already. Ethan walked to the edge, measuring the distance with cruel math, seconds, impact, silence. His heart said no, his pride said yes. Between them, the void. Jumping is cowardice, he thought. It'll be head-on, no chance to turn back. He formulated the idea coldly. A truck, the inevitable crash, a quick end. So quick that fear wouldn't have time to catch up. Returning to the car, Ethan breathed as if apologizing to a desecrated altar. He sat, put the key in the ignition, and froze. There was someone in the passenger seat, a man in his 30s in pristine white clothes with a serene gaze that seemed to see right through him. "Not today," the man said, without raising his voice. "Who are you? How did you get in here?" Ethan stammered, grasping at reality like something slippery. The man merely touched Ethan's forehead with his fingertips. It wasn't a shock, it was a flash, it wasn't pain, it was an opening. The windshield turned into a screen, and the night parted its curtain. Have you ever felt someone held you back at the last second, even if you don't understand how? Share in the comments. Your story might save someone today. Ethan saw himself driving again, not as a memory, but as a live broadcast of something he hadn't yet done. The speedometer climbed like a fever. On the other side of the road, a truck's high beams came steadily, driven by someone simply doing their job. "He's Julian Carter." The man in white's voice sounded like a subtitle at the bottom of Ethan's soul. "They call him Jules. Tonight, he brought his family along so he wouldn't miss little Daisy's birthday tomorrow morning." An invisible camera dove into the truck's cab. Emma sang softly. Ben told superhero stories. Daisy laughed with her nose wrinkled, as if giggling were her best subject in school. "Are we almost there, Daddy?" she asked. "Just one hug away," Jules replied, gripping the wheel as if embracing the road for them. The projection moved forward a frame. Ethan saw himself aligning the car. Time, obedient and cowardly, slowed down so he could understand every choice. At the moment of impact, the screen split into 5. Besides the truck, other cars behind it. A family returning from the hospital, a couple who had reconciled that night, a rideshare driver softly singing Amazing Grace, and all the names that would vanish in an unjust fire. Ethan didn't see blood. He saw only the emptiness that followed. Empty chairs at breakfast tables, bedrooms with toys without owners, phones ringing forever on nightstands. Pain, when it wants. How to teach is discreet, and for that reason invincible. "And me?" Ethan's voice trembled, thinner than a thread. "Do I die?" "You disappear," the man in white corrected. "And ceasing to exist is sometimes crueler for those left behind than death itself. If one decision of yours could spare someone you love, what would you change today? Comment. Leave your answer. Your courage might inspire others." The projection rewound to moments before, to the hill's edge, to the open bottle, to the car's safe. Ethan saw his betrayals like shards of a mirror pieced together wrong. Him betraying promises, schedules, looks. He saw the night Grace cried silently so the kids wouldn't hear. He saw Noah learning to cut his own birthday cake. He saw Lily collecting papers in an envelope labeled, "Things My Dad Forgets." "The problem was never that you weren't loved," the man in white said. "The problem was always that you didn't allow yourself to love anything that required responsibility. But I tried." "You tried to stop the pain," the man corrected. "You didn't try to heal its causes." The man in white touched Ethan's forehead again. The image of the truck, the Carter family, and the cars behind them vanished, as if someone gently turned off a projector. The car's dashboard came back into existence. The key still hadn't turned, the engine hadn't started. Nothing had happened, yet. "What do I do now?" Ethan asked, knowing such questions always arrive late. "You let me in," the man replied. "Your life never made sense because you never let me be part of it. Let me heal your wounds. I am with you." Ethan wept with his entire body, a sob that seemed to exorcise old shards. The man in white smiled, and the smile was the only thing that hurt because it felt like genuine love. Comment: "I choose life, if like Ethan, you're ready to start over. Your words could be the first step." Ethan removed the whiskey bottle from the passenger seat and left it on the car floor, as if returning a stolen object. He opened the safe and stared at the cold metal long enough to admit there had never been courage there, just escape. He closed the safe, locked it, said no to the abyss. "I don't know how to ask for forgiveness," he confessed, almost childlike. "Forgiving and being forgiven are verbs you learn by doing," the man in white said. "Start with a call, today." Ethan's phone trembled with unread notifications. He found Grace's number. His finger hesitated for a short eternity. He called. "Hello." Her voice wasn't sweet or harsh, it was human. "It's Ethan, I'm trying to come back." Silence. All the silences in the world fit in a single call. "You can do it," Grace said finally. "But not alone." Ethan drove down the hill slowly. The city looked different, though it was the same. Maybe reality doesn't change, but the lens you see it through does, he thought. He passed a simple church, remembered the amazing grace of the driver who almost existed. He stopped the car, went in. There were no fireworks or thundering voices, just people and pews. He sat in the back like someone arriving late and asking permission. "I don't know how to pray," he whispered to no one, and therefore to someone. "But if you want me alive, I can learn." The amen came before the sentence ended, as if it didn't depend on him. What's your first real step towards starting over? Comment below. Putting it into words makes it more possible. In the days that followed, Ethan wrote, not long. Messages but short letters to Noah, promising to be at the next practice. To Lily, saying he remembered the drawing on the fridge magnet. To Grace, thanking her for being home when he chose the streets. He didn't ask them to come back. He asked them to look at him again. That was the first victory. He sought a support group, said good morning when he felt like disappearing, silently returned things that weren't his, and started going to church on Sundays, not to become a saint, but to stop sabotaging himself. The man in white didn't appear again, but the passenger seat sometimes felt warm, as if someone had just stood up from it. Months later, at a roadside diner, Ethan recognized a smile from a photo. Jules, Emma, Ben, and Daisy were on a road safety campaign poster on the wall. "Families that make the road more human," the caption read. Ethan ran his fingers over the image without touching the paper. "Thank you for not letting me kill them," he said quietly, to the man in white. He no longer saw. At the diner, a truck driver struck up a conversation. He talked about kids, exhaustion, bad coffee. Ethan listened like it was a new craft. He discovered that listening heals too. He paid for 2 coffees and left without haste. One day, Noah missed a pass and looked at the stands. He saw his dad there, hands in his pockets, shy as someone unsure where to put the blame. Lily ran up after practice and asked if he remembered the drawing on the fridge magnet. He described the colors from memory. She smiled with the teeth she was still missing. Grace didn't promise anything, and that's why her "it's okay" at the front door felt like champagne on New Year's. Ethan returned to his apartment and opened the windows. The air outside didn't smell of victory. It smelled of ordinary life, and for someone who'd stood at the edge, that's miracle enough. Months turned into a year. One late afternoon, the sun blazed orange on the car's dashboard. Ethan stopped at a long traffic light. Without knowing exactly why, he turned to the passenger seat and said, "I'm still not good at this." Maybe the seat didn't answer. Maybe it did. What mattered was that Ethan was no longer alone. He turned on the radio. Amazing Grace played on some stubborn station, and for the first time in a long time, Ethan sang along, beautifully off-key. What if that key had turned? What if the road had turned Jules into a statistic? What if Grace had answered and heard silence on the other end? The world is made of what-ifs, and maybe faith is the courage to answer, what if I choose to live? The man in white didn't leave a business card. He left a question. Who do you let in? If you're in the driver's seat with no idea where to go, take a deep breath, close the safe, drive down the hill, call someone, let yourself be helped. Redemption sometimes arrives without a sound, but it changes everything. Maybe you won't see a man in white in the seat beside you. Maybe your redemption is a hi, friend, a stranger, a song on the radio, a comment below. But it comes, and when it does, it's not just you who lives. It's all the stories that continue because of you. If this story touched your heart, watch the other videos on the channel. Every week, a new testimony of starting over, redemption and hope. Share it with someone who needs it. Until next time.